We'll be starting the program with the national anthem. Thank you. So I'll request Dr. Hariharan to please come on the stage and start the proceedings for the day. Thank you.
Namaste to all of you. Good afternoon. First, I must welcome these very eminent and distinguished representatives of industry. We have Mr. V. Suresh, who is currently the chairperson of the National Building Code and has held various capacities over the last 40 years, and still humble enough to come up to you and say, well, here is my card, my name is Suresh. His humility distinguishes, as with all leaders. We then have Mr. Kamaljit Java, who plays many roles. He is today also the president of RAMA, it's called Room Air Conditioners Manufacturers Association. He's also a very significant member of CII in Delhi, apart from being the chairperson for Daikin, one of the largest air conditioning manufacturers in India today. We have Mr. Gurmeet Singh, who is chairperson for the Indian Green Building Council. He's also president of the Indian Plumbing Association, and the work he has done over the last half decade to bring visibility to the sustainability visions of industry to the government is very, very significant, and perhaps marks a small subchapter in the history of greening India's economy. We have Mr. Jaimini Oberoi, we have Mr. Chandrasekhar Gupta. You will hear about C.S. Gupta soon enough, because we are also signing a memorandum of association with the Indian Plumbing Association today. I have very little to say beyond that about these members here. Welcome to both Dr. Christopher Benninger and Justice Mr. Goyal. A round of hands for these two speakers, please. Christopher was conferred an honorary doctorate, a very distinguished moment, I think, a very, very memorable moment for him, only recently, a week plus ago, by the CEPT University in Ahmedabad. I will leave all of that to Mr. Suresh to speak when he's going to be introducing him. At this point, I have very little much more to say than to tell you all, youngsters here, to listen to Christopher Benninger is like listening to an undercurrent of thinking that many of these ecologists ecologists and designers and architects have brought. From Patrick Geddes, if you're an architect, you will realize who I'm talking about. In the 1900s, in 1919, 1920, he was here in India. He was the urban planner for 6 cities, Banaras, Baroda, Tanjavur, and places like that. So this thinking of the kind that Dr. Christopher Benninger is going to present to you is part of this 100 years of consciousness on design in India. May I now request all members of the Governing Council to come up for a small lamp lighting ceremony. I'll also acknowledge the presence of Mr. Kamal Mittal, who is here, who is also part of the GC. Yes, please. Over to you. Yeah, please come on. Can I invite Prem Jain over to the stage to offer a few introductory notes, after which there will be Mr. Gurmeet Singh Arora coming over for a small little address that he will offer. I'll be here. Yeah. I'll sit here.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for making the time to be here today. On behalf of Prem Jain Memorial Trust, I want to thank every single one of you. Thank you, Dr. Benninger. Thank you, Honorable Justice. Thank you, my PJMT family. I'm not going to name each one because we're all part of the family now. And all the students, the faculty, everybody who's supported us in the last 5 years. I want to say that when we started this trust about 5.5 years ago, we knew we had two foundation stones. One was sustainability and the other was education, and we were going to build everything on that. The rest of it was really more of a vision, a dream, something we hoped to do. When we conceptualized the Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav, we hoped that it would become a festival, a national festival, and it would be celebrated across the country, which is why it was called Harit Bharat Mahotsav. Prem Bharat Mahotsav because of Prem Jain Memorial Trust. But at that time, one did not know where we were going to go. It was only a vision, something that we dreamt of. Today, this is our 6th edition of the Mahotsav, and I can truly say it has become a green sustainability festival across the country. We have between 80 and 100 events happening in this week. Across the city. I know we have students more from the north here and the rest will be joining online. We are doing live streaming on YouTube and Instagram, but we are connected with college students, with working professionals, with people from the MEP, the air conditioning, electrical, HVAC industry across the country. Also design, because that's my background. So we do connect with design students, some of who are here today. I want to thank from the bottom of my heart the faculty who believed in us, the students who've taken the time to attend, and all of the institutions which have supported us. Thank you very much. I do want to acknowledge, and I'm going to spend a few minutes doing this because it's very important for me to say thank you to everybody. IGBC, which is part of the PJMT family. Daikin, Java Saab, thank you very much. ISHRE, ASHRE, India. Carrier, Green Tree Global, D20 Learning. Every single one of you who has walked this path of green with us, thank you very much. We wouldn't be here without you. To those who did not know my father, and I know a lot of the young people sitting here never knew him, I just want to share a few more lines about him. He was a passionate engineer, an inspiring teacher, and a committed crusader. He believed the Janani Janmabhoomi was his mother. And so I grew up believing that the earth was my mother, and everything we do is to give back to our mother. So sustainability really is a matter of choice. It is not something you talk about or now you see a lot of it on social media. It's the buzzword, it's what you hear, but no, it has to be more than that. It has to be a choice that you make every single day of your life, be it in buildings, be it in architecture, be it in design, be it in the way you eat, the way you travel, the way you live, in every single thing that you do. He was my guru, my guide, the foundation stone of my existence. And I have the legacy of sustainability thanks to him. He believed that India would become Jagat Guru. So he always said Bharat would be Jagat Guru of the world in sustainability, which today we are all talking about Bharat. He has been saying that for years. And he believed in this green building movement when we started with 20,000 square feet of green. Last year, Indian Green Building Council clocked 10 billion square feet of green in India. And I think that really says it all. I don't think there's much more to be said about this green building movement. I will end with a few lines that describe his life. This body is not me. I am not this body. I am life without boundaries. I have never been born and never died. I am in the ocean, the sky, the galaxy of consciousness. Since the beginning of time, I have been free. I remain in every flower, every leaf, every tree, and every star in the sky. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Well, can I invite Gurmeet Singh Arora, Chairman of the Indian Green Building Council and President of the Indian Plumbing Association, to come over. Say something about the speakers and then.
You want me to call? Good afternoon. I say this many times, my ears are covered. As you can see, you can't see my ears. And my wife also says I have selective hearing. And I can't hear you. So let's bring some energy in this room, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. That's better. Thank you. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm supposed to talk on a topic called reflections. But I would like to reflect first the past and then the future. Because unless we do not plan our future correctly, we are going to get into a lot of issues and problems. For example, India is urbanizing at 6.7% today. We are building 600 square kilometers, are being added to the urban landscape every year. One Chicago is being built every year. It is said that we will build one America in the next decade, in the next 10 years. We are currently building 36 kilometers of roads every day, connecting cities, where villages will become towns, towns will become cities, cities will become urban centers in time to come. And target is now to move to 50 kilometers of roads every day. We have the Amrut mission, Atal mission for rejuvenation of urban transformation, where we are looking at urbanizing 4902 cities, including 24/7 water supply, drink from the tap. 2 cities are already on board in 2024, where you will be drinking from the tap. So a lot of programs, the Swachh Bharat mission, the Housing for All, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana for the urban poor, a 300 square feet house. If we do not build this sustainably, if we do not imbibe green attributes into every built environment, and when I talk of built environment, it's not only buildings, it's anything that you build, whether it's a bus shelter, a home, a hospital, a metro station. And therefore, I met Dr. Jain in 1993, and it's been more than 30 years that I've known this man. And why I say 30 years? Because he still lives in me. And he's been more than a father to me. He brought me into this green building movement, which we started in 2001. I've been fortunate. V. Suresh Saab has also been fortunate, and many of us sitting on the first row, where we have been part of the green building movement since the beginning. We started with, Payal ji said, a 20,000 square feet building. Currently, we are at 1,063 crore. You may not understand 10.63 billion, but we are 1,063 crore over 11,600 projects. Currently, we are doing more than 1,000 projects a year, which means 3 projects, and I'm not talking of buildings. 3 projects we do every day. I have a team of 125 working in the CIIGVC. We have 21 out of our, not part of our staff, assessors who assess projects. So when we take a project from a construction company or from any other company, you do not know who is assessing your project, and nor can you influence it. For example, I got a call from Mrs. Neeta Ambani's office once. They needed 2 grace points, and they said, "You're the chairman?" I said, "Yes." "So can you give us 2 grace points for the Reliance Foundation School, which she's very passionate about?" I said, "I don't know anything about the school. Call me after one day." And I refused those 2 points. They had to change some 200 energy guzzling fans. What resulted after that is that they gave us another school. They gave us 580 acres in Koperkerne, New Bombay. They gave us 850 acres in Jamnagar. We are doing all the Reliance Jio centers. We are doing all the Reliance retail, 3,000 stores coming up in 1 year. So we have been able to build credibility. We are part of CII. And as we started this movement, Dr. Jain's target was to achieve 10 billion by 2022, which we have achieved in 2022. Current target is 50 billion when India turns 100 in 2047. So we have to add on 2 billion every year. The building sector is responsible for 40% of the carbon emissions and 28% comes from operational carbon. It's only 11% which comes from the materials which we use. We have 7,800 products certified as green. So my request to each one of you, whatever you do in your life, you cannot keep on drawing from the womb of your mother. You have to replenish the womb, otherwise your mother will die. Thank you very much.
You can wake up Mr. Gurmeet Singh at 2 a.m. and he will reel out all these numbers once again, in just the ways he did just now. And look at the numbers. He's talking of 2 billion square feet a year starting now. If you are a young engineer, architect, whatever discipline you come from, the potential in industry today for people like you, if you have this edge on sustainability, is enormous. It's incalculable just now. The number of, I'll give you one example, the number of accredited professionals from IGBC largely and from a few other institutions is no more than 5,000 for 11 billion square feet. He gave you 10.63 billion square feet as a number. Now, the figure in the United States is about 14 billion, and they have 200,000 accredited professionals. So you know what industry needs in India, and they're willing to take them, I can tell you that. And many of us, as you said, the front benchers here in this August audience, are people who have worked on this for over 25 years, clearly, all of them from the beginning of this century. There's a deal of information. This is going to be an afternoon that will be rich on insights. May I now invite Yatin to see that he puts up this film. It's a very short film of about 4 minutes. I'd like you to look at this. Like Mr. Java was reminding us, I'd like you to listen to Dr. Jain. And some of his words ring true 5 years after his passing away, but I can tell you they have immense relevance for the future. Listen to his words.
The world is at crossroads as far as the safety and well-being of our ecosystem is concerned. With rampant urbanization, environmental degradation, and grave consequences of climate change, an overall path correction has become imperative to the existence of all living forms on Earth. Should we continue with the abuse of our precious natural resources? Should we use technology and innovation to conserve them? Can we reduce energy usage with a mindful approach or renewable sources? Dr. Prem Jain anticipated many such challenges we are facing today way back in the 70s. Over half a century of dedication and tireless efforts, he thought and spoke a language that was way ahead of its time. His passion and commitment to his Janmabhoomi and to his own mother ran equally deep.
From my earliest childhood, it's been ingrained with me that truth will always win, what we call Satyamev Jayate. She also gave us the love for all living human, living creatures, trees and plants, the message of non-violence. And ever since my childhood, I've always respected that all life forms are equally important.
The last 10 years saw the culmination of his efforts by remarkably shaping the green movement in India, and his countless admirers began to refer to him as father of green buildings in India. The green revolution he started is the foundation of his legacy. In 2018, Prem Jain Memorial Trust was conceived to carry on his mission and founded upon his values, ideals and vision of a greener Bharat. Today, the Trust enjoys guidance of the best minds of the industry, champions of sustainability, corporate change makers, and academicians. PJMT is set on its journey to create, establish, and maintain sustainability directions through education, recognition, and rewards that nurture future generations.
The best gift you can give to the person is educate him or her. Because then, wherever they are, they will be able to earn and flourish in life.
Each year begins with the Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav, a week-long celebration of sustainability, and our annual flagship event, Prem Jain Memorial Address. The Trust organizes a spectrum of green initiatives which fill the week of January 26, Dr. Jain's birthday week. The Mahotsav is celebrated across the country with immense enthusiasm by Green Crusaders and our partner institutions through an array of sustainability-driven initiatives and activities. Having deep roots with the Indian Green Building Council, the Trust has worked in tandem with IGBC and its chapters. PJMT takes great pride in partnering with esteemed partner societies, corporate leaders, and premier universities across India, working closely with the common mission of creating a greener earth through the year. The Trust is a catalyst for sustainable research and development, sharing innovations and creating a global platform for exchange of thoughts and ideas to nurture future green ambassadors. PJMT has organized more than 300 green initiatives during Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav in association with its esteemed partner societies, corporates, and institutions across India, and arranged over 300 online sessions by distinguished speakers and industry change makers on sustainable built environment, with participation of more than 5,000 students and working professionals. At this edition of Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav, we invite you to join this green revolution, to build a brighter tomorrow and change the world we will leave behind for our children. If we can change the way we think about buildings, maybe what we build will change the world.
I'm sure you paid attention to some of those words. They will prove to be enormously significant as we go along the next, say, 15 years. Some of the things that Dr. Jain has spoken about, and you only got some extracts here, you must read in that other book called, there are copies of the book, I think, as soft editions, and it should be available outside for you to pick up as USB drives go. You must read of his thoughts and see how you can become professionals of another kind into the future. May I now invite Mr. V. Suresh to, yes. Let me remind you all again that Mr. V. Suresh has straddled the construction sector, the building industry, from 1965 or 66. He spent some 10, 12 years initially with the government, with the Public Works Department in Tamil Nadu, I think. And after that, he's seen many, many years in HUTCO. And he was chairperson for policy, and he continues to be that for the Indian Green Building Council. He was then chairman for Indian Green Building Council. But with his initial years, like I told you, it culminated with him becoming the managing director at HUTCO. I can go on about Mr. V. Suresh, but that I'll not do just now. I'll leave the stage to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandra. What a great honor to be here on the 6th Prem Jain Memorial Trust initiated Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav Day here on this here after the passing away of Dr. Prem Jain in September 2018. We had the greatest pleasure of associated with him, working for over 35 years with him in various capacities. and seen the growth of the organization when took over as the chairman of the Indian Green Building Council in 2018. But today is the time for us to now introduce the keynote speaker, the memorial address speaker, and that's actually architect Christopher Benninger. Could I call you to come over here, sir? Because when I address that will be, you can use, somebody can guide. Thank you. By the time he just comes up over there. I was talking about 35 years for Dr. Prem Jain. I had the pleasure of knowing Christopher Benninger from 1987. That's exactly 37 years back, when I was very much in the Housing and Urban Development Corporation. Please be seated, sir. Please be seated, sir. Thank you. Working together for a large number of projects. Me from the HUDCO side, along with Dr. S.K. Sharma, who was at the time the CMD of HUDCO. I was the Director of Corporate Planning, working with Christopher. So let me have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Christopher Benninger, as just now briefed by Hariharan. Last week on Sunday, he got the doctorate from the CEPT. A great honor for an architect to do that. So first of all, let me congratulate you on that. An architect from the Harvard University and a master in urban planning from the MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where he later also taught as a teacher there for a long time and practicing in a big way. And he came to India in 1971. That makes it exactly 53 years back. And he's trying to see how best he'll become an Indian national. So he's already been working 50 odd years, 5 decades plus working over here. Looking forward to the great opportunity of being an Indian citizen. I'm sure Indian government will do it. I was just telling before I came in, Laurie Baker, Dr. Laurie Baker, similarly, he waited for 60 years to get the Indian national British architect with whom he had the pleasure of working closely. So after this great experience in the last 50 to 53 years time period, he has founded the School of Planning at Ahmedabad as a Ford Foundation advisor, where he continues as a distinguished professor and member of the board of management. His name appears alongside Jeffrey Bawa, Charles Correa, and Balakrishna Doshi as one of the recipients of the Great Masters Architect Award in India. He is one of the India's highly decorated architects, having won the Indian Store Architects Annual Awards for Excellence 6 times, more than any other architect in the country. A special greeting to you on that. So if that is what his educational academic background is all about, his firm CCBA Designs have been working on various projects: the Asif Premji University at Bangalore, Indian Institute of Technology in Hyderabad, Heritage Campus in College of Engineering in Pune, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research in Mumbai, Lodha Belmondo in Pune, the Global Brain Research Center in Shanghai, China, and new Foundation Studios Lecture Hall in Sept University, 23 metro stations in Pune Metro, and also the new parliament and ministerial buildings for the African country of Burundi. His well-known award-winning projects include the Mahendra United World College of India, the Samudra Institute of Maritime Studies, the Suzlon Earth World Headquarters in Pune, which got also the IGBC Platinum, the National Ceremonial Plaza at Thimphu in Bhutan, and his own studio and residence in India House project in Pune, and involved in not only the design, context, climate, materials, sustainability and technology, along with the client's programmatic needs that is needed. And his work into the city planning beyond going into building is known to everybody. His city and regional planning work ranges not only in India but also in Bhutan and all the way to Sri Lanka. Benninger's expansive campuses reveal an understanding of India's place making. That place making is an area on which he is very much working on, reflecting on the great temple complexes and the Mughal campuses, his narrative presence and language that his own earlier background in American ideals embedded in the wooded Arcadian landscapes to sacred notions enshrined within the Indian courtyards, generating a unique approach of architecture and place of making. He has written many books over there. I had the pleasure of receiving one of them, that's the Letters to a Young Architect, which has been a bestseller in 2012. And this has been brought not only in Chinese, Bangla, Gujarati and Marathi. Of course, original version is in English. A wonderful document everybody should read. Letters to a young architect from somebody who has been in the sector for over 5.5 decades in this particular area. And also the book on Christopher Benninger, an architect of modern India, published by Rizzoli in New York and by Schira in Milan, in Italy. He is on the board of directors of Cities Journal UK, and his chapter on a cultural anthology of India, a wonderful document, you should see it, published in a book, Connecting Through Center, which was published by IGNCA in 2022. He's also advising the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank and the United Nations, working very closely on projects. He's the chairman of the committee formed by the Government of India that created the National War Memorial. You're all aware of the wonderful building. He's a statutory member of Andhra Pradesh Capital Region Development Authority, member of the committee formed by the central government to analyze and potential for developing the eastern seaboard Mumbai Motorist building. That's why one of the buildings also done, including the Trust Lands Redevelopment Committee, member of the Ministry of Defense Committee to the National War Museum, which he did, as well as he is a member of the High Power Committee for content and display of the latest Parliament building. And he is going to give us the first vision. What a great pleasure, honor and privilege for me to introduce Dr. Architect Christopher Benninger. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Benninger and also invite him to make the first delivery of the address. You will take this place. I think Radhika is going to join when you do the presentation. Or you'll be there? How will you? You will also join here? Sir, could I invite you to give him a big hand? Sir.
Come. While the chairs are getting reorganized, I'd like to thank the people here for organizing this event. Prem Jain was a very close guide of mine. He was a guru. And I really am honored to be invited to give this talk. And it's also lovely to see so many students here and also to see a famous teacher, K.T. Ravindran, sitting in the audience. Now, K.T. has been a guide and a guru for all of us for, I don't know, the last 50 years. So it's lovely to see you here, K.T. Somebody's going to organize that. You'll have to sit over there so we can see this.
Yeah. Is that better?
One of the problems is the people speaking can't see their own presentation. I would like to introduce Radhika Dhumal. She's like a daughter to me. She's worked with me over the last 25 years. And she's going to participate with me in the presentation. Okay. Is this working? No.
So you'll have to turn it on. Yeah, but that's okay. Is this okay? Yeah, that's okay.
Where's okay. Now, have a seat, Radhika. Can you hear me? Okay, this presentation is a little interesting. I'm talking about making cities sustainable for everyone. So who's going to click the slides? Okay, so I'm looking at cities in terms of being sustainable for everybody. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, how do I know when it's going to go forward? Okay, next slide. See, there are 2 or 3 things I'm going to talk about today. The origins of our city designs, in my opinion, are wrong. We have a lot of classical city designs from Europe, royal designs. We also had a lot of American suburban designs, bungalow designs from UK and other places, which has affected the way we plan cities now. And the way we plan cities actually excludes a very large majority of the urban population, which is one of my concerns. If we've excluded between 60 and 70% of the population of India cannot afford the EMIs of any housing scheme in the major cities, it means they don't have a right to the city. And I think as young students, you should be concerned about that. Now, it doesn't mean they're all living in jhopatpatis, or what we call slums. They may be living in overcrowded urban villages, workers' housing in sheds, etc. So next, who has a right to the city? Now, I like to always give this example. It's a study done by the Boston group of Bombay. The Boston group did a study. Go ahead.
Only 3% can afford the EMIs of a dwelling to the south of the international airport.
See the map? Only 3% of the 22 million people living in the metropolitan region of Bombay can afford the EMIs to buy anything in that small area down there.
Only 6% can afford the EMIs of a dwelling from Thane and Vashi to the airport.
So now we have 9%. And?
Next. Only 27% can afford, only 36% have a right to the city.
So what we see here is if you add up the number of people in the entire metropolitan region who can afford the EMIs in any scheme that a developer or builder is doing, we're excluding a huge number of people. So who has a right to the city? Only 36% of the people.
Next.
So, of course, this is debatable. There would be people who say, well, we see it differently, but I think this is an important thing to look at. 64% of them, I call this unsustainable. If you don't have a right to the city, if you don't have your own property, if you don't have your own shelter, that's another form of sustainability. And that means you have no interest in all the other types of sustainability we like to talk about, because if you're not a partner in the city, you won't give a damn for all these things. Okay, next.
Question 2. How are cities designed based on models which affect our thinking?
Okay, next.
This is the existing scenario in 1962 Delhi.
Then in came the Ford Foundation with American planners, and they did a plan for New Delhi, which really didn't look at the problems of the poor. Next. Now, this actually is interesting because on the upper left-hand side is a kind of a plan of Karlsruhe in Germany, where the palace was in the middle and radial roads went out from the palace into the rest of the city. This influenced Versailles, and of course Versailles, and this influenced Washington, D.C. And if you look at the plan of New Delhi, I dare somebody to say that Washington, D.C.'s plan did not affect this plan. So there's kind of a history of models of capital plans and ruling cities which really are irrelevant to the way we live. Now, you all know the Garden Cities movement. I think it was very important. But then I'm showing some pictures of things like Levittown, USA. Small cottages, automobile-dominated planning. Then I've showed Chandigarh. You're going too fast. Go back one. The Ville Radio. Basically, what I'm saying is all of these models affected the way we think and the way we plan. Even if I look at Ville Radio by Le Corbusier, I just did a scheme in Pune called Pune Belmondo, which is a kind of a new town with some 30, 22-story apartment buildings in a garden. And basically, it's Ville Radio, but it's not affordable to probably 90% of the people in Pune. So these models, in my opinion, are not really sustainable models. Next.
These type of plans can only accommodate 36% of our people. Where do the other 64% live?
Now, I'm not saying these figures are exact. These are approximate, but this is the situation in our country.
This has resulted in unsustainable sprawl. Delhi.
Next.
Unsustainable living conditions. Mumbai.
Next.
Unsustainable economic disparity.
See, what the interesting picture here is the one in the lower left-hand corner, which I think is in Rio de Janeiro. Now, these wealthy people have balconies with swimming pools, and tennis courts, and it's not two pictures sliced together. This is a real situation. People with their swimming pools are overlooking a slum. of illegal settlements in Rio de Janeiro.
Next.
Okay?
Unsustainable congested traffic,
Okay?
unsustainable pollution, unsustainable exploitation of nature,
That picture was in Maharashtra.
unsustainable access to shelter, unsustainable futures.
So this is what we're thinking about all this. This is a problem which has been looking in our faces for the last 100 years. And what have we been doing? Putting our heads in the ground. Right.
A major root of our problem has been posing development as only the economic growth of the city. In fact, sustainable development is the achievement of intellectual, emotional, moral, and spiritual existence of the population.
So what I'm saying is the real meaning of cities is not to increase the GDP or per capita income, but to make people's lives more meaningful, to make them know themselves better, to make them achieve the things they want to achieve. The city should be a channel for personal development, and we are not doing that. And if we're not doing it, it means we're not making sustainable cities.
What is essential to tackle this disaster is to have a set of sustainable principles which all agree upon and act by. These principles are the essence of uplifting the human condition and the civil society.
Okay, now some years back I came up with something called Principles of Intelligent Urbanism. But I think that word intelligent can be replaced with sustainable urbanism. If it's intelligent, it's sustainable. If it's not sustainable, it's not intelligent. No? And there's some 10 principles. I'll run through these quickly. But the point I'm trying to make is our cities do not address 10 basic principles of sustainable development. The first one is a balance with nature. Next slide. Okay, then a balance with tradition. Next. Hello, keep going on these.
Go.
Appropriate technology. Next. Efficiency. Next. Human scale. Next. Conviviality. Next. And opportunity. This is the most important. If 60-odd% can't afford the EMIs, it means they are not part of the opportunity system of the city. Balanced movement, institutional integrity, and regional, next, hello, regional integration. So these are things, these do not have to be the principles. Everybody can sit down and come up with their own 10 principles, but we should think, what are 6 or 10 or 4 or 5 basic sustainable principles we should apply when we're looking at city development. Today, we were told by our friend that there's going to be huge expansion of cities in this country over the next 10, 20, 30, 50 years. Now, it's a huge opportunity for us to come up with a new basis for designing cities. And I think we need to be daring. There are students here. You're young. You can be the new Corbusiers by designing cities or coming up with concepts of designs which include this 60%. If you do that, you're a genius, and it can be done. It can be done. Okay?
Principle 1, a balance with nature.
Okay, next.
Growth of cities at the cost of nature, Hyderabad.
This is a real picture from Hyderabad. This is going on right in the middle of one of the biggest and best metropolises of the country.
Next.
Next.
We must understand the difference between exploiting nature and utilizing nature.
See, what I'm trying to say here, if you look at this diagram, when we plan things, we look at the upper slice. When we're designing a settlement, we're looking at human habitat, and we're making roads for those. But we're not looking at fauna, flora, the aquifer systems, the soils, and other aspects like slope analysis. Now, we're only planning for the upper 2 slices, forgetting all the other slices. We're not looking at aquifer systems below ground. when we're planning new developments, which we should be doing.
Principle 2, a balance with tradition.
Now, a lot of work has been going on with this. People are very aware. Next. Next. This is what our cities look like.
Neglect of heritage in cities, buildings in Mumbai.
It could be any city in the world, actually. It could be New York, it could be Philadelphia, it could be Shanghai.
Intelligent urbanism respects the cultural heritage of a place.
Now, when I worked in Bhutan, I did the National Ceremonial Plaza. This is at the north side of the Trachi Chozong, the great monastery there. And this north facade had actually collapsed in an earthquake, and they wanted to bring democracy to the country. All of the ceremonies, like coronations, had taken place inside of this structure, and they wanted to have this large facility where, sitting here, they could have the national dances, the Chechu 8 days of Buddhist session every year. So I designed this, which fits in with the local traditions of building.
It seeks out traditional wisdom in the layout of human settlements, in the order of building plans, in the precedence of style, in the symbols and signs which transfer meanings through decorations and motifs.
Thank you. Next. Now, this is a big window in the Supreme Court of Bhutan. We have a Supreme Court justice sitting here, but this is where the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Bhutan, when he sits, he looks through this lovely wood-carved window.
It promotes architectural styles and motifs which sustain cultural traditions.
This is our house, India House in Pune, and a very traditional Chettiar house in Tamil Nadu. So we can pick up ideas, even designing an urban house in India.
Past guides the future. Principle 3, appropriate technology. Culture of construction employs appropriate technology, local skills, local materials, and traditional project management techniques.
See, these are craftsmen in Bhutan. These are people, local carpenters. We used local masons, blue pine. We used paints made out of local traditional paints to paint the structures. Now, and the project management there was done by a monk who repaired all of the temples and things when they had a fire or something. This is Suzlon One Earth. All of you know it because it got a lot of points there way back about 12 years ago. And that's Mahindra United World College, which is built out of local materials there. This basalt stone actually we got because they were cutting holes in mountains to make the expressway between Pune and Bombay, so we could get a lot of good basalt stone. And this is a very local material.
Principle 4, conviviality.
Now, go ahead.
Intelligent urbanism sponsors a convivial society. Sustainable societies are interactive, socially engaging, vibrant, and offer numerous opportunities for gathering.
So these are just some pictures. Next.
A society operates within hierarchies of social relations. The hierarchies can be conceptualized as a system of social tiers, with each tier having a corresponding place in the settlement.
Now, I try to do this in architecture. This is the SOS Children's Village in Buana, outside of Delhi, which I designed in 1973-74. And in this plan of a kind of a big village, there's a courtyard for every house. So there's a place for families to socially gather and have their identity. And there's a place, every 5 houses has a neighborhood courtyard. And all of these houses together have a central community courtyard. So these kind of hierarchies are even individual places where you can contemplate and be by yourself. So this is an example of one of the courtyards, of a house, of a neighborhood, and then of course the entire community.
City as a place for an individual.
So forget even family. All of you youngsters want to be alone sometimes. You want to have a place as an individual. You don't always want to be in a group.
City as a place for friendship.
Friendship is terribly important. If the cities don't provide places where you and your friend can go have a cup of coffee, what then? And look at this. Without
City-
places for this, then what?
City as a place for romance.
I heard some agreement out there.
City as a place for householders.
Okay.
City as a place for neighborhoods. City as a place for community. Principle 5, efficiency. Inefficient systems and management can overload the city. Inefficient handling of resources, pollution. Intelligent urbanism promotes a sustainable balance between performance and consumption. It balances various systems with the energy, money, time, and maintenance required to perform these functions sustainably. Sustainable or unsustainable? Principle 6, human scale. Massive scale, socially exclusive. Diminishing public spaces, emergence of shopping malls.
Now hold this for a second. You know, there are shopping malls in India where they require you to show a credit card before you enter to stop anyone who's a poor person who just wants to come into the mall and walk around and see all the life and the color, etc. They require to show a credit card on entering a mall. What do you think of that?
Out-of-scale monuments, an attempt towards architects' self-aggrandizement.
This is in Kazakhstan,
Kazakhstan.
where they invited as many famous architects as they could to build monumental buildings. And the TOR to the architects was build something fantastic.
The focus of intelligent urbanism is the pedestrian, the ground plane, human movement, and interaction.
This is a picture I took in December in an Italian hill town. People gathering on the streets, no automobiles. It's the ground plane, it's the pedestrian, which makes people important.
Principle 7, opportunity matrix. Celebration, not for all. New urbanism, the wrong model.
Now this is Seaside in Florida. It's a celebrated new urbanist community. Well, first of all, is it urbanism? Everybody who works here, all the people who clean houses, cook food, etc., they're not allowed to enter this place until 6 o'clock in the morning, and they have to be out by 8 o'clock in the evening. So is that urbanism? No, because urbanism is multi-plural people. It's open to everyone. And are these little kind of houses new? So is it new urbanism? No, this is America's been building suburbs like this for the last 100 years. So the word new urbanism is getting imported all over the world as a new method to design cities, and it's a wrong model.
Intelligent urbanism gives equal access to opportunities within the urban system. People entering cities face stresses in sustainably achieving food, shelter, clothing, education, transport, health, and recreation. Good sustainable systems provide options to the people.
Now, this chart actually looks at different income groups from the low end to the middle to the high end, and it shows what people are looking at in terms of reducing stresses: food, shelter, clothing, education, transport, health, etc. And what we looked at was from the very bottom of it, people lived in slums, but there were places that they could actually build their own houses, up to big bungalows, etc. So we looked at each sector and we said, well, where are they getting their food from? Where are they getting their shelter from? Where are they getting their clothes from? The new entries were getting discarded clothes. Our maybe next level, they were getting self-made clothes, and our second-hand clothes, our local tailors, and the rich people were getting from branded shops, etc. So In each of these, there was a range of activities which gave paths for everyone, paths for the rich as well as the poor. I'm not against the rich. There should be high streets with branded goods, no? But there should be things for the others as well. Next.
People may not be born equal, but they should have equal access. Principle 8, balanced movement. Clogged roads, New Delhi. Pedestrian unfriendly movement systems.
People walking through traffic. It's very common in Bombay and most of the cities.
Intelligent urbanism sees movement and transport in the city as a balanced group of systems that are integrated with one another.
Now here we tried to show a stem, or some sort of a central corridor. Maybe there would be a metro or something, or maybe just high-speed buses, and maybe at the terminal points, 1 kilometer apart or something, there would be an urban sort of neighborhood. It would be maybe high density, maybe a lot of things that could be used by young people, et cetera, would be there. And then there may be small buses going out into other areas.
Principle 9, institutional integrity. Institutional integrity means transparency, rule by law, responsible and honest accounting, participatory processes, and urban planning.
Now this is one of the toughest ones to get. Institutional responsibility, integrity.
Principle 10, regional integration.
Okay, the last picture? This is a fun one. There's something called primate cities, no? And when Paris became a primate city could be determined that maybe it's a city that has more than 25% of the population of a country. It means that all of the amenities and the cultural facilities are going into one focal place. This is Telangana, and this is Hyderabad in the middle. 31% of all the state's population lives in Hyderabad. And all of the investments, cultural investments, economic investments, transport investment, they're going into Hyderabad. That's not really true of Tamil Nadu, which has a more diverse pattern of cities. So it's interesting to look at. It's true with individual cities. Most of our cities are not well networked into the areas immediately outside of them.
Hyderabad is an example of the primate city. It has 31% of the entire state's population and most of the public services and jobs. Next. Unless one recognizes the wholeness of the city and its region, the city will ruthlessly exploit its surroundings. Next. What is the solution? Self-help cities where the people build with their own plans. Coming soon.
See, the point is, what I would like to see some of the schools of architecture do is pretend that you're Le Corbusier, and you're designing a new city for India. And you're going to include the 60% of the population who cannot afford the EMI of any row houses, towers, etc. And that you decide, we're going to design a city which is a self-help city. Now, I'll give an example. Way back in the 70s, I was asked by at that time, Madras Metropolitan Development Authority to look at their housing for the poor. And I said, people in Madras are building their own houses. The poor people can't even afford the government houses. No? But the houses they're building are out of grass and straw. And if a fire starts in one house, within 1 hour, 1,000 houses will burn down and people will die. Why don't we lay out plots, 10 feet by 30 or whatever, and we over 30 years, the EMI for those plots, if we sell the plots and we telescope the payments to become more towards the end of the 30 years, people can shift onto those plots and build their own house. Now, what kind of house will they build? If they own the plot, and the police are not going to rough them up and throw them out, instead of using grass and temporary burned up, highly inflatable materials, they're going to put pocket small houses on those plots. So I think self-help city that we'd look at would have a large number of very small plots where people build their own houses, and it would be an essential part of the plan. So this is my hope from the students, that you come up with new ideas for new cities, new concepts, and that you maybe take them up as class projects, and maybe you present them to secretaries in your state government, town planners, and you wake us all up. And we do something which is for everyone. Thank you very much.
That was Christopher Benninger. You should stay here, please. You must give them a round of applause, both of you, both of them. Christopher talked about equity and ecology in many ways, right through. I heard him maybe 12, 14 months ago in Pune, and he was presenting another one on the kind of work that he does to bring in all those elements of passive architecture and everything else that count when you design. I must acknowledge the presence of architect K.T. Ravindran, who is coming here. He was one of our speakers earlier. Can you stand up, sir, so that many of them will know you, but these young students may not. Yeah. We also have Dr. Viren Pal, who is, there he is. All right. Maybe you should, yeah. Sorry? Yes. Well, I think so. Maybe you should sit down, and we'll invite you back again in a while.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much, Chris. I shall now invite Mr. Gurmeet Singh back again to the stage. We have a very small ceremony. It's just an exchange of documents, but it signifies a very active and a relation that will be built between the Prem Jain Memorial Trust and the Indian Plumbing Association. We have Mr. C.S. Gupta also here and Nivedita from IPA. The story is that it started maybe about 3 months ago that we first thought of how we could, cement this relationship that is already existing between IPA and PJMT. We discussed it, and Nivedita got action going for all of us. Thank you, Nivedita. Thank you, Gurmeet, for consenting and being here today with us.
Before we sign this MOU, let me tell you that we are 1.43 billion today, the largest population in the world and still growing. And we have 17.65% of the world's population, but only 4% of the world's fresh water. So we have a very large problem on hand, whether it's a Daikin air conditioner or any other product, or my cell phone, what we call virtual water. A cell phone takes, anybody can tell me how much water to make? Anybody? 1 lakh rupees price. You know why I'm offering 1 lakh? Because I'm sure nobody will be able to answer. 2,500 liters to make one cell phone. 2,000, that means 10,000 of these bottles. One cell phone. One t-shirt takes 900 liters to make, so every product that you eat, consume, use requires water, and therefore we need to become sensitive towards jal. Jal hai to kal hai, jal nahi to kal nahi. Jal bachao, kal bachao. So let's sign this MOU. It's a very proud moment for all of us. क्या कर रहा है? लास्ट है ना, इधर है ना। Thank you, thank you, thank you. Congratulations. Thanks, Mr. Gupta. Gupta ji, that's for you.
Oh, this is for you.
One for you, Gupta.
Thank you very much.
ये फोल्डर आपके लिए. Jitendra.
Sorry. Yeah. Now I have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Kamaljit Java, who will do the honors of introducing Justice Goel, another remarkable person. I was looking at his presentation, which he shared with us a couple of days ago. You have a wonderful set of insights on India and the challenges of sustainability that it has before us. And I will leave it to Mr. Goel. Please come. Justice Mr. Goel to talk about that one. Here is Mr. Kamaljit Java. Over to you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am really honored today to welcome amidst Justice Adarsh Kumar Goel, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, and former Chairperson of NGT, India. He was elevated to the Supreme Court after having been a judge of Punjab and Haryana High Court. Subsequently, he also became Chief Justice of Odisha High Court. Justice Goel authored large number of judgments in the High Courts and also Supreme Court, many of which are groundbreaking decisions which he took during his regime, leading to institutional reforms. On superannuating from Supreme Court, he was appointed as a chairperson of NGT, and during his illustrious tenure in NGT, he gave significant decisions on environment, climate change, waste management, and on air pollution. He has made a significant mark in the field of climate change and sustainable development. Today we are very fortunate to have him here. Who could have been a better person to deliver this lecture today? My dear students, you have already heard Mr. Christopher what he said, but I think we are very thankful for him, and also we are very thankful to Mr. Goel for sparing his valuable time to share his views with students and also our fraternity. I am sure, Mr. Goel, your words today will greatly influence the student community present here today. Please, Mr. Goel.
Good afternoon to all present. Eminent experts of the subject, invited dignitaries, students, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor for me to be here at this memorial lecture for an eminent personality, Dr. Prem Jain, who was committed to the interest of everyone. Environment is everyone's interest. To mitigate climate change, which is now a serious challenge. I will come to the subject. it has been very educative for me to hear the presentation which was just now shown. And I will make brief reference to the points which have emerged from this presentation, which is central to the subject of environment and sustainability. Without sustainability, nothing can happen. Sustainability is the win-win situation, and other than sustainability is lose-lose situation. Even for our own body as an existence, we think of calories we consume or intake. We must burn that much calorie. Otherwise, what happens to our body? We know we inhale oxygen. Just now question was asked, how much, who can produce water and at what cost? We inhale oxygen all the time, exhale carbon dioxide. The trees consume carbon dioxide and give oxygen, but we are committed to cutting trees one after the other, recklessly. Some people say, why in my compound I can cut trees, why anybody should object? There was a famous film and there was a song which is interesting. दुनिया ने हमको दिया क्या, दुनिया ने हमसे लिया क्या, हम सब की परवाह करें क्यों, सबने हमारा किया क्या. It may be a style, but not a truth. We live because everyone does so much for us. And mission of life is to serve, concern for others. If that is not there, there is no difference in animal life and human life. So today we are facing a grim situation, a crisis, because of this song which I just now mentioned. That is the approach. I am concerned what benefit I get. I don't care what happens. So, what is climate change? I need not refer to it. We all know the consequences are disastrous. Climate change now, according to latest report released in March 2023 by 6th IPCC. Okay, that's all right. I need not go to this slide. So, what is happening with the climate change? The glaciers are melting, the sea level is rising, there will be mass destruction of habitats and biodiversity, change in crop patterns. I need not refer to the findings given by 850 scientists in March 2020. We know the reasons why climate change is taking place. It was identified by the world community in 1972. On 5th of June at Stockholm, there was a conference where most of the countries were present. And they gave a call, rise now. There is no time, act now. That was the slogan at that time. 50 years have passed, nobody has acted. We are where we were. That is what the data shows. So, sustainable development goals have been set up by the world community, which say there is urgent need required to combat climate change and its impact. Extreme weather conditions such as heat wave, droughts, floods, tropical cyclones have aggravated the need for water management, pose a threat to food security, increase health risks, damage critical infrastructure, interrupt provision of basic civil services. Statistics need not be referred, they are well known. Between 1880 to 2012, average global temperature increased by 0.85 degrees Celsius. Between 1901 to 2010, ocean expanded. Global average sea level has risen by 19 meters. Since 1990, global emissions of CO2 have increased by almost 50%. Between 2000 and 2010, emissions grew at a more rapid rate than each of the 3 decades preceding it. This is the data mentioned in a latest Supreme Court judgment, 2019-15 SCC, page 401. So, I just now at this stage want to show to you a 1-minute film which was shown to the world community in COP26. What is COP? Conference of Parties. It is taking place every year since 1995, and now it was 28th COP recently held from 30th November to 12th December 2023 at Mumbai, which was 28th COP. Okay, 2 years back, 26th COP, a 1-minute film was generated showing the dinosaurs advising, because dinosaurs became extinct long back. So they advising against extinction. What do you do? Just see 1-minute film. Please show that 1-minute film. Achha, baad mein? All right, they will show you shortly. Now, this is the context. And presentation just now showed the reasons, 36% sustainability maximum. You can give EMI. What happens to 64%? How do you do? In Delhi, that means the situation is no different from Mumbai, which you have shown. The data may be slightly different, but by and large, the pattern in all major cities would be same, because some people will be living in planned areas, some people will be living in slums. So maybe the data, as you also said, it's approximate, maybe slightly different. So what do we do? What happens to 64% who can't afford EMI and are living, actually living, factually living? What happens to the environment? Regularization policy, etc., human angle, don't remove encroachment, where they live. Let us think of it. And how do we handle that situation? At the moment, of course, we are thinking of planning. And those 36% was giving EMI whether they can get environment. And what do we do as architects to handle the situation? Is the issue which Dr. Prem Jain, as a crusader of sustainability and dreaming Green Bharat. We just now won our national anthem, Vindhya Himachal Yamuna Ganga Uchal Jald Taranga. See, what is happening to Himachal, what is happening to Vindhyachal, what is happening to Ganga Yamuna. We celebrate them. They are our greatest assets. Not any economic development. The eternal assets are Vindhya, Himachal, Yamuna, Ganga. Are we threatening them by our existence? We are drawing sustenance from them. Are we killing them? Are we destroying them? Is the question how to check it. We don't wish to. None of us wish to do it. All of us are committed to protect it. They are our lifeline. No industry wants to kill people. No architect wants to build building which will kill people. But what is happening on the ground, I'll show you some startling things, not to frighten you, but to tell you what the factual status is. It's available and it is there for all to see. So Dr. Jain was the mentor and thinker of the Indian Green Building Council, IGBC, which now Dr. Arora just now signed some MOU on behalf of IGBC. And what is IGBC? Is India's prime body for green building certification and relating services right from its inception. That was, some people were concerned. Dr. Jain was concerned, and there are others who are following in the footsteps, were concerned that there should be green building. Why there should be green buildings? I first briefly touch that subject and then go to the main subject, because all of you are mainly concerned about designing of green buildings, perhaps. So Dr. Jain played crucial role in constructing a sustainable building, green building, the CII Sohrabji Green Building Center, Hyderabad, which is India's first platinum-rated green building and net zero energy building. So I will request if they can show the building image of that building. Are you able to show now? If it is possible, otherwise, yes. So this is the building. Why it is green building? Some of the features in this building are, it has open to sky courtyards through which natural light reaches every part of the building. There are native plants to absorb heat and dust. Autoclave aerated concrete blocks to minimize heat ingress to save air conditioning energy consumption. Insulated roofs, glazed tiles to reflect sun's heat, which reduces energy consumption. Double glazing units, which reduce noise. Designing takes into consideration local temperature. American architecture has been used but modified, even for use by the MNCs who are used to American architecture. Topsoil is preserved and reused on finished grounds to conserve fertility. It takes 100 years for topsoil to be produced. Therefore, we recklessly throw away the topsoil. But Dr. Jain, who wanted to take care of concern for everything, preserve the topsoil because it has highest fertility. The building protects existing biodiversity. Low-lying area is used for water harvesting. Water harvesting, how important, how significant to save water. It protects existing biodiversity. Low-lying area is used for water harvesting. It is converted to mini wildlife preserve. WC discharge is directed to plants. Plumbing system. Photoradiation is used to clean excreta. Natural process to treat sewage. Indoor air quality standards are followed by specially chosen plants being used, like Sansevieria, Erica palm, to reduce generation of volatile organic compounds. Use of carbon filters. Take out wastewater with the help of RO water scrubbers. Solar energy, highly innovative mechanical, electrical, and plumbing designs. These are some of the important steps which are eco-friendly. And the objective is save energy, use natural light, use solar energy, design to minimum excess of heat to reduce air conditioning, rainwater harvesting, natural treatment, wastewater, and reuse, purifying air inside, proper building material, evolving green rating parameters. So this is one concept which all of you are concerned and all of you will like to utilize in your professional activity. I wish great success if you keep this in mind. It's very important. Now, green buildings help combat climate change, which is a threat, as I mentioned. There are other steps, but one step is having green buildings. They consume 40 to 50% less energy, 20 to 30% less water as compared to normal buildings. If all the structures in the world are constructed giving due importance to ecosystem, the harmful effect on environment and earth ecosystem, such as greenhouse effect, ozone layer depletion, global warming, can be minimized. This is, all of you know that. So Path of Green is a beautiful book which was mentioned, which is compiled some thoughts of Dr. Prem Jain and other experts on the subject. In his memory, several articles have been written, makes the points, provide eco-unfriendly steps use of excessive glass is not eco-friendly. Building needs to be designed that it consumes less energy, use air, natural air and light. This is legally provided in Energy Conservation Law, National Building Code, Energy Conservation Building Code, but the provisions have not been incorporated in all the building bylaws, and there's not much awareness on the subject. So this is about the green buildings and about the activities of Dr. Jain. So coming to the subject of environment, as we know, after the Stockholm Conference, world over, the legal systems and processes were revisited, including the Constitution, the other framework. Constitution of India was amended in the light of Stockholm Conference in 1976 by adding two important provisions. This is basically for lawyers, but this is basic information which I'm giving because generally I'm speaking to lawyers and judges, so I'm mostly giving information about the legal changes and consequences and issues related to that. But I just want to mention Article 48A made it a part of directive principles of state policy in the Constitution, which say what is the direction for the state or the policy makers to take. So 48A is a policy or a principle of policy that is protecting the environment is a matter of state policy. 51A is citizens' right. Now, it shall be duty of every citizen to protect and improve natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Because if we don't protect environment, what happens to the living creatures? What happens to the aquatic life? Pollution is not just one fact. What happens with the water pollution, polluted water, chemical water, goes to the water bodies and kills the life systems there, the aquatic life there. And large number of living forms, birds and other living beings have disappeared, become extinct. And as I said, the 48A state shall endeavor to protect and improve environment and safeguard forests and wildlife in the country. So environment is a very vast subject. So 1974, first time after Stockholm Conference of 1972, Water Pollution Prevention Act was enacted, which set up pollution boards and which requires, if you are going to discharge water, then you need consent to establish your activity. And before you start the activity, consent to operate, CTE, CTO. And then environmental clearance for any project. We were discussing. There are expert appraisal committee, the project, impact of the project on the water or on the air or on the land or on the forest, wildlife, etc. has to be studied. Why? Because these principles have been now incorporated, precautionary principles. Anticipate the harmful impact and offset it before starting the activity. So there was a big tragedy in December, 3rd of December 1984 in Bhopal, where the gas leaked from the industrial process, insecticide making company. And that gas licked thousands of people. And lakhs of people were affected permanently. They became disabled or their lungs were affected. Their life became miserable. Even the next generations are affected. Therefore, in the light of that experience, India enacted Environment Protection Act, which is an umbrella legislation to meet any situation. The central government can constitute an authority, can constitute a framework of rules, etc. And under the Environment Protection Act, large number of rules have been framed. That is the now body of environment law in India. Waste management rules, biomedical waste management rules, e-waste management rules, how to protect mountains, rivers, coastal areas, coastal management, coastal area regulation management. So there are Wildlife Protection Act, Biodiversity Act, Forest Act, and then by way of interpretation, the power vested in the Supreme Court to enforce fundamental rights and right to life. And life is not defined as such, but by judicial interpretation, life includes environment. That's the interpretation given by Supreme Court. And common law, which is the judge-made law, also includes all principles followed world over, best practices, precautionary principle, polluter pays principle, intergenerational equity. These are the sustainable development is ultimately the key. That's how you are using the word sustainable. Sustainable means what is viable. What are the safeguards? With every activity, just now it was being mentioned, if you produce mobile, how much water is taken? If you produce 1 kg of rice, how much water is consumed? Please study. That's why we are saying use millets. What is sustainable agriculture? Every field, because we are now discussing sustainable built environment because you are all architects. But sustainability word has different connotation and different expertise in the light of several other subjects like sustainable agriculture is itself a big subject. There are greenhouse gases released, the water management, scientific water management, sustainable water use, and in the context of life. So all these public trust doctrine, because the state also is not owner. The ownership of environment, environmental resources, rivers, water, air is vested in the people. It is for people's benefit to sustain the life of the people. And even the governmental power can't be used to the detriment of people's welfare. It's a welfare state. So their government is a trustee of these resources and use it as a trustee, not as an owner. One of the developments in Indian legal framework was enactment of National Green Tribunal, in which I have worked for 5 years, it was just now mentioned, which adjudicates environmental related issues and can stop an activity or can give an instruction or direction, recover compensation for the victims or for the damage to the environment. So various issues about degradation of environment have been dealt with in the NGT for conservation of forests, for natural resources. We know what happened in Uttarakhand. What is the carrying capacity of a system? How much activity is sustainable? And if you are going beyond then what is to be done is a matter of serious study. As just now it was mentioned, 36%, yes, city can take. Then you need a planning. I think the presentation now shown should be sent straight away to the Planning Commission, to the Niti Aayog. So they can make a planning where 64% people should be settled. How 64% people should be settled? Because theoretical discussion, meaningless theoretical discussion carries us nowhere unless we provide solutions. We can highlight a problem, yes, it is necessary. But after highlighting, then we have to find out the solutions. So there are serious degradation of environment, serious loss because of environment pollution. I am not citing any figure because there are large number of people who die by consuming polluted water or inhaling polluted air, die or suffer in their health or their lifespan is shortened. And similarly, if there is a pollution in the land, the food produced is unsafe to consume. Therefore, we are saying don't consume this, don't consume that. That's a very natural thing. We are using chemical fertilizers which has its own adverse effect on the health as well as on the quality of food produced. the insecticides, etc., which are used. So all these things are affecting the life. But now technology is one subject, as you said. Yes. Technology is now being used in a big way also for compiling the data. Unless we have data, we can't proceed further. For everything we need, what is the data? So we have online monitoring system of water quality at several places in rivers in India. Like Ganga, Yamuna, we measure the water quality. These days in Delhi, we always say, what is the AQI? Air quality index. What is the air quality index? There is online air quality monitoring station set up at various places. There are sensors in it. As scientists, you know better. What is PM 2.5? What is PM 10? What is the carbon dioxide? What are the various components of the air quality or harmful air quality, so that you can make your plan. There is a GRAP, Gradual Response Action Plan. If AQI goes beyond a particular point, then we have to stop particular activities, because if there is building activity goes on, it can kill people. So schools will be closed so that children's health is protected. People are advised, don't open your window, don't come out in the air to walk, because air quality is bad. Hazardous sphere. And they say it is improved to very poor. Improved to very poor. Because the categories are much more worse than very poor also. So why industrial pollution, vehicles pollution, dust pollution, construction activity? There is a threat to safety of life. All these human activities. So what is the way forward? That is the question. People who are concerned, you are thought leaders, or going to be thought leaders in this society. So you are bound to think, yes, it is there, so what? Can we say, I am unconcerned? That I can't say. As a responsible person, I can't say something bad is happening in my house or to my fellow men, my citizens. How can I say I am unconcerned? I am very much concerned. I am concerned not merely for my life, I am concerned about your life as a responsible citizen. So this is one great project which you have undertaken, having this type of memorial lecture. And it's apt in the memory of someone who was concerned, that all of us are concerned, and talking about what are his thoughts and what can we do. Yes, we can do. Nothing impossible in the world. Nothing that we can't do if we are determined. But for determination, we need to be informed what we have to do. We have to have awareness. But then it's a difficult path. Why? Because at the end, you are saying end user. At the end, you need lifestyle changes. The comforts we think of enjoying all the time, we switch on AC, yes, it may be comfortable. But then we will have to reduce it. There is a water running all the time. We are producing tons and tons of plastic, mindlessly, plastic bottles. They're convenient because you carry water, you don't have to wash the glass, you don't have to serve, just hand over the bottle and just throw it away. But nobody has thought, what is its consequence on the environment, this pollution this plastic which we are using and throwing, single-use plastic particularly. How it is going to remain in the environment and what impact it's going to. It's just for a small time convenience, I could take a glass of water from my glass and wash the glass. But for convenience, I'm using the bottle, plastic bottle. So there has to be changes in the lifestyle. There has to be awareness, discussion, as is happening right now. The presentation which you made was very informative. We came to know what is happening in the cities. Why? Slums are being created. If we don't have resources for built houses, instead of creating slums, can we have habitations elsewhere? Or we have habitations which can provide shelter to more people. Now we are everyone, there used to be our house. There used to be 1 room or 2 rooms living, everyone living together. Now it is my room. Every child who is not even earning says it's my room. So maybe what is sustainable in US or UK, not necessarily sustainable here. You have to think of local conditions, as you said. What is your legacy? So you have to adopt the styles of life which can be healthy for everyone, for yourself also. And all are yours. All are one. We believe in Advaitvad, is India's philosophy. Everyone is one. All life forms have same life form. Whatever is life in you is life in me. So it is that thought, it is the awareness of duties. It's a constitutional obligation under Article 51A, as I mentioned. Why? Because unless citizens want it, nothing can happen merely by the government. Don't think government will find solution to everything. Even the best government. Those citizens have to come forward. They have to make it a public movement by awareness and by their duties. So there is an ecosystem imbalance which needs to be converted to balance, that means sustainable. There can't be mindless construction. We have seen Hyderabad city, we have seen even Delhi city, so much construction, so much of cement, and its impact of the raw material or the use of the cement, of the impact of buildings on the air quality. Garbage dumps. In Delhi, we know the mountains, but not only in Delhi, it is throughout, sir. There are 2,000 mountains of garbage in the country. In Delhi, garbage size is increasing every day. So we are not going in a direction of solution. The problem is on the increase because garbage height in Delhi is, there is no scientific disposal of garbage. Scientific disposal requires segregation, recycling, reuse. If it can be used into compost, do it straight away. But if you biodegradable, non-degradable, if you mix it, creates a problem. Keep it separate. When it is generated in the house, biodegradable should be separate. It should be collected separately. It should be utilized in composting separately. If it doesn't happen, consequences are very serious. Then sewage. There are no double piping system. Dr. Jain has discussed. What is double piping system? I hope our young friends know it. The grey water, what is grey water carriage system and black water carriage system? In the bathroom, whatever water is generated in the kitchen, everything is going into sewage. If it mixes with this sewage, then the whole water becomes bad. And the cost of treatment is very high. So it is not treated, it goes to the river. And the reason is that drinking water is very limited. And we are mixing sewage in drinking water throughout India. It's a crime. It's a sin, it's a crime in law, but it is happening. All our rivers, Ganga, Yamuna is polluted. Unless we stop mixing sewage in Yamuna or industrial waste in Yamuna, Yamuna can never be clean. But all sewage exit points are opening in Yamuna. There are sewage treatment plants, some treatment plants, highly inadequate. Less than 30% sewage is treated. The rest is untreated, and the sewage treatment capacity also, we don't know what is the real treated, whether it's actually treated or not treated. If you check it, most of it is non-functional. So this is the serious problem. There are air polluted cities, there are air polluted and water polluted industrial clusters, and the agricultural land is being affected. So this is something which is a continuous subject of great importance, of as important as health, as important as existence, and I think people who are thought leaders like you can contribute in a big way in creating awareness and in being conscious in contributing to mitigate the problems. Okay, I ended. So I don't require further 2-3 minutes. I have concluded. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your keynote address. Now we will be going ahead with the book launch of PJMT Handbook on Wellness in Educational Institutions. So I will request Dr. Deepak Bajaj from RICS to please come on the stage. I will also request Kamal Metal sir to please come onto the stage, sir. And Green Tree Academy team, if it's here, Professor Siddharth sir, Professor Vivek Sabarwal sahab, and Dheeraj, student who was associated. Sir. So I'll request Dr. Deepak Bajaj sir to say a few words to the students, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. That's the energy. So it's a room full of such good experience and such young minds and thought-provoking discussion. I was amazed at the 2 keynotes. Sir, thank you for raising the awareness. A thought comes to my mind. Which country manages their environment the best? Because we are thinking of best practices. And a country comes to mind, Japan. They seem to manage their environment quite well. And there are many others, but that strikes. And what I'm comparing is their environmental awareness with their life expectancy. Because that life, we are living for life, right? And I want to do this study. They have life expectancy of 95. When we got freedom, we were 35. And now it's 75. And how much life you want to give up for living in a polluted city? Is 5 years enough? So if I was going to live 80, and I live 75, I think it's fine. If someone could do that study, that will be very useful. I would certainly be part of that. But this wasn't what I was called for. But it was thought-provoking. We at RICS School of Built Environment, of which the founding dean is here, Professor Ravindran, we are producing professionals with great awareness to our best ability in the area of sustainable built environment. Last 2 years, we have done a conference on sustainable built environment. And PJMT, we've been associated probably all 13 years of our existence, even before the trust was formed. And I would say the vision of Dr. Jain, which we all heard today, is very, very rich and very foresightful, that we could see what was coming and what has already arrived. The buzzwords which we are living in today are actually already 30 years old in his mind, and we are realizing them now. So I hope that continues. Payal Jain, she's leading that trust and giving direction in a right direction, and we all support. We look forward to that support, and we also would like to invite all of you here, including students. On 16th of March, we are having the Sustainable Built Environment conference at our RICS, School of Built Environment in Noida, and I would like to invite all of you, and with that, I'll thank everyone.
Thank you, sir. So this is the next book in the series, and the good thing about these books is that these books have been written by students and faculties of few of the institutes in MOU with Prem Jain Memorial Trust. So this is the book by faculties and students, and so we have faculties and students only to do the unveiling of the book, please. Let's go ahead with this, sir. During the Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav, we had a few challenges going around which were sponsored by Daikin. So I'll request Mr. Kanwaljit Chava sir to please come onto the stage and announce the winners, please, sir.
This is the first one. इसको scroll कर देना. There are 5 awards. इससे नीचे कर देना. 5 हैं total.
So time for awards and recognition. So the first prize is on fashion challenging upcycling, repurposing and upcycling. Congratulations. First prize goes to Khushi Rai from Lady Irwin College. The second prize goes to Rashmika and Neetu. And the third prize goes to Afra Mariam and Akshay GR. Congratulations, all the prize winner. The second prize, next is on photography. And this goes to sustainable living. First prize goes to Ritesh Singh of KIET. Second prize goes to Sayan Das, Institution of Engineers and Management. The third prize is Swati Katyar. And fourth prize is to Neeta Nandi. And fifth prize is to Ritik Singh again. Congratulations. Next is on waste material. First prize goes to Sukanya and team, APJ Institute of Architecture and Planning. Second prize goes to Kaushik and team. And third prize is to Kanishka. On Sustainable Design Challenge, the first prize goes to Junaid TS, Rick School of Built Environment, MIT University, Noida. And second prize goes to Ashfaq Siddiqui, APJ Institute of Architecture and Planning again. And third prize is to Nikhil Chinchali, Niti School of Architecture. On Sustainable Art Mixed Medium, first prize goes to Soumya Rastogi, second to Gaurav Deshbandhu College, and third prize is Yash from CRPF Public School. So congratulations once again to all the award winners and for supporting PJMT. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll be having another book launch, and I will request Professor V.K. Paul, sir, to please come onto the stage. Professor V.K. Paul, sir. I will also request our dignitaries, Christopher Benninger, sir, Justice Adarsh Goel, Saab, Mugdha Sinha ji, Anamika ji, Namita Sethi ji, Rekha Sethi ji, Vinita Khatri Tripathi ji, Sukrita Paul Kumar, Anand Khatri ji and Vivek Sabarwal sir also to come onto the stage for the book launch, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir. So may I also request Namita Sethi, Vinita Khatri, Sukrita Paul, Professor Sabarwal is already there, Professor Ravindran, my senior colleague for a long time. Nice to see you, sir. Ritu Sharma ji, and of course, Payal. Why not? I request, yeah, fine. May I request guests on the stage to please occupy their seats for a moment? Thank So, this book is actually an initiative which my friend Professor Khatri started last year, that we bring poetry on environment and we collect them over a year from different people who have their passion for the environment. And I'm glad that we've been able to do this. It has over 48 odd poems, compositions from national and international poets, about 11, 12 from the foreign countries. Some of them are big names. And that's what it is in front of you. The whole idea was to see how the poets look at environment. And there's a different way of looking at it. Now let me say a few words about the poets and poetry, because sustainability, the paradigm we heard Professor Benninger and Justice Goyal here. And there's another way to look at it. I don't read the script when I speak from dais, and I break this tradition once today. On the occasion to speak right now is to express my gratefulness to the master artists of words who painted their agony, unease, anguish, and the thoughts that my words cannot express for the state of environment that they have spoken through their poems. So every word that I use must be a tribute to their passion, and no less than I can offer. Thank you, each one of you, my profound colleague poets. So as I talk to the audience standing here, I also connect with 48 poets who spent precious moments of their life to pen down their thoughts. But that's not all. They took hours and hours and hours capturing their sensibilities and emotions, iterating multiple times through the process, culminating into these compositions. ये एक दिन का काम नहीं है. भाव लफ्ज़ दर लफ्ज़ पनपते चले जाते हैं और फिर एक दिन ये वो काम करने की क्षमता रखते हैं जिसे जागरूकता कहते हैं. और जागरूकता क्रांति की नींव होती है. ये लिखने वाले लोग केवल किताब में तो केवल 48 हैं, लेकिन हर एक अपने दायरे में ना जाने कितनों की आत्मा को झंझोड़ देते हैं. और अगर इनके आसपास कोई सोच फटकती है तो या तो वो बदलाव का रास्ता चुनने का फैसला करती है या नज़दीक आने की से परहेज करती है, जुर्रत नहीं करती है. उसको बदलना ही होगा. और ये वो 48 लोग करते हैं. और इन लफ्ज़ों के पीछे सिर्फ बात करने भर के लिए नहीं है, इसके पीछे देयर इज अ कन्विक्शन ऑफ थॉट एंड ऑनेस्टी. आज यहाँ ऐसे पर्यावरण की संवेदना व्यक्त करने वाले इन विचारकों को आपने सम्मान दिया, इसलिए आपका तहे दिल से आभार. सो व्हाट डू वी ब्रिंग हियर इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू? कविता विचारों के खोखलेपन से नहीं लिखी जाती. Poetry is subordinate to the emotions and passion. I firmly believe that the change needs conviction of thoughts and pain at heart. The question I have is not what you are told about environment here and state of it, but the resolve embraced for a change, and that is what the poetry is all about. As a poet, I am not bound by the law or the numbers that say how good or bad it is. For example, आप जिसे compensatory forestry कहते हैं, वो कानूनन जायज़ है या जायज़ नहीं भी है. For me, it is the question of lives of wasps, butterflies, birds, and numerous lives. And what will I tell them? That you need to die for my sake? And miles away, maybe 50 years later, there shall be wasps, butterflies, birds, and numerous lives, but not you. And one day, someone else will also tell me, when air is foul, that you go away, and if you cannot, then cuff your life away in the misery of frail health. Then the architect in me shall confront and ask, was this the development, the only resort? So what do I make out of this compensatory forestry? Let me say it differently. मैं एक भंवरों की टोली था, एक छोटी सी बेरी के पास कुछ परिंदों के झुंड से वाकिफ जो नीम के पेड़ से आया करते थे. मैं एक भंवरों की टोली था, एक छोटी सी बेरी के पास कुछ परिंदों के झुंड से वाकिफ एक नीम के पेड़ से जो आया करते थे. अब मिट्टी की ढेरी के पास हर वाकिफ शय की याद में किसी और पल की उम्मीद से नाउमीद. अब जिंदगी की खाली झोली सा किसी छोटी सी बेरी की कब्र के पास लोगों के झुंड से नावाकिफ मेरे घर का दिलासा देने वाले मेरी सांसों के हिसाब की किताब से नावाकिफ समझ पाएंगे क्या? वो नीम के पीड़ पे बैठे परिंदों के झुंड, छोटी सी बेरी के पास वो एक भंवरों की टोली. काश कोई होता जो समझ लेता. For me, poetry is an aspiration for change. We speak the language of passion. And the day we, and each one of us sitting here, have aspirations for change in the language of passion, the development will be sustainable, environment will be equally for all, the living and the forces of the nature as it was handed down to the human race by the nature itself. Thank you, Prem Jain Memorial Trust, and the audience for letting the space to the poets who painted the canvas of their words. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor V.K. Paul, sir. So, as we come to the end of this beautiful evening, I will request Dr. Harihan, sir. I'll request Prem Jain ji to please come and give us the conclusions for the program. क्लोजिंग के लिए हरिहरन सर का नाम तो है नहीं.
Good evening, everybody. We did have a Q&A planned, I know, but it seems like we're running out of time. We've kind of overstepped a little bit on time, so we'll have to conclude. But I do want to say thank you to everybody very much for being here. Thank you, Dr. Benninga. Thank you, Justice Goyal Saab. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Paul. That was fabulous poetry, came from the heart. And thank you for making it part of this event here. I don't see Dr. Hariharan, he was going to give the closing remarks, but really it's just to thank every single one of you. Thank the students, the faculty, the colleges, all the institutes which are connected with us. Please continue to give us the opportunity to work with you and make this planet greener. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We have arrangements for the high tea in the lawn. I'll request students to please join us for the high tea. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.